The topic of this presentation is going to be about prior sensitivity stock assessment methods. So let's start. Fisheries management, as we all know, is all about sustaining fish stocks, fisheries, and of course they're related to the fisheries employment. And how is that possible? Through stock assessments, which can determine meaningful reference points and current stock statuses with respect to such reference point in order for the management to determine meaningful fisheries measures. But when this is not the case, and the best scientific information available for providing the above reference points is just inadequate of providing those, then we can talk about data-deficient fisheries or stocks. So, what can we do in these situations? We can use some surplus production models, which can assess stock status and exploitation in data-limited areas. And of course, the most widely used model is developed by Schaffer in 1954, and it is based in the equation shown here, which connects the biomass and the catch. But what is the CMSY++ method, which we are going to focus in this presentation? It belongs to the surplus production models. It was developed by Ruiz et al. In 2023. And the data that are required as an input for the model are, first of all, a catch time series of the species we are interested in, some priors for resilience and productivity of the stocks, and some priors for biomass to unfished biomass. For this project, we use the available catch data from 1992 to 2021 for 25 fish and invertebrate stocks of the Aegean Sea, which consisted of 8 different groups: 3 small demersal fish, 3 small pelagic, 3 medium demersal, 2 medium pelagic, 6 large demersal, 1 large pelagic, 4 cephalopods, and 3 crustacean stocks. In order to reflect the different species and their ecological roles in the Aegean Sea and the Aegean fisheries. So, this presentation is focused on the resilience or else R priors, and we used 4 different categories of R values. The old category refers to a previous range of R values derived from FishBase, which were estimated based on population characteristics such as growth, maturity, fecundity, and mortality. The new category also refers to a range of R values, which were based in this situation on stock assessment information. The specific category is a single R value plus minus 0.05 for each one of the stocks, which were also based on population characteristics. And the uninformative category was a range that was set between 0.05 to 1.5 in order to give the model freedom and see how it would respond. So the aim was to see if the CMSY++ method would present sensitive to the different R values that we set as an input. In order to examine that, we use the R programming code version called CMSY++ 16.A, and each time we run the code, we use a different category of R values as they were just described. As a baseline, we used a number of 2 B2K priors. Generally, you can use between 1 and 3 B2K priors. And we also chose for the intermediate year for the second B2K prior to be set by default settings. So, of course, we uploaded an ID and a catch file for all of the stocks, which contain very valuable information about them, such as the stock name, of course, the minimum and the maximum year of the available data, the values for the catch, the biomass indexes in case they were available, the R values, and many other. So we run the code. This is the results we got. You can see. Okay. You can see the plots of relative biomass for all of the stocks. The vertical gray line that you see in each one of the stocks points out the intermediate year. And there are also 2 horizontal dash lines. The black one is the BMSY, which is the biomass capable of producing the maximum sustainable yield, which was set at 0.5. And the BLIM, which is the gray one, refers to the lowest reference point for the biomass, which basically rings the bell for recruitment failure. which was set at 0.25. So the first thing that someone can notice is that the uninformative category with the orange color mostly seems to underestimate the relative biomass for most of the stocks, whereas for the other three categories, the relative biomass estimations presented similar to each other for each one of the stocks. But for 5 of the 25 stocks, as you can see here, the old R-values curve with the green color is presented considerably lower than the other two categories, the new and the specific ones, for which the relative biomass estimations were pretty close. Moving on to the exploitation rate, I think that in this case it is a little bit more clear to see that the uninformative category mostly seems to overestimate the exploitation rate for most of the stocks. And again, for the other three categories, the exploitation rates are estimations are similar. But in this case, for 3 of the 25 stocks, the older values curve with the green color is presented considerably higher than the other two categories, which again had resulted in pretty similar estimations for the exploitation rate. So, is there a way to explain the results we got? First of all, we can comment on the new and the specific categories and say that it is reasonable that their curves present close to each other and without an intense variance between them, and that is because the specific category with the blue color, their values are based on the new category with the red color, so there's that. But what about the different trend of the curves for the old category with the green color? To explain that, I'm showing you here these two box plots, the one for the old type of R values on the left and the new type of R values on the right. And I have also pointed out the minimum and the maximum R value for the stocks that showed the different trend before. And you can see that for most of these stocks, the values are outside the 50% of the R values. And specifically, if you see for the new type, their values are presented a little bit more gathered, whereas for the old category, they are a little bit more spread, which is true if you also see in this table, which shows the maximum minus the minimum difference of the R values separately for each category. And you can observe that for the old type of R values, the range is quite bigger in comparison with the new type, and in some cases even double. So, summing up this presentation, one of the main points is that the uninformative priors should not be used. They are basically, as their name says, they give no information to the model and they give the less accurate estimations. Also, we can conclude that the different R values ranges seem to indeed influence the CMS Y estimations, and maybe we can say that wider ranges of R values are more likely to lead to different results. So, the old range of R values could potentially be checked again and should be used with caution, especially in data poor situations and stocks. Thank you very much.